We've talked about how to solve systems of equations by graphing, and we've talked about how to solve them by substitution. I'm going to show you a third method to solve them. Sometimes this method is called elimination, and sometimes it's called the addition method. Um, those terms are interchangeable. It doesn't matter what you call it. But the way that you solve them is by taking your two equations that you have and combining them. What I mean by that is we look at these two equations that we have, 4x plus 6y equals 32, and 3x minus 6y equals 3, and we notice that we've got a positive and a negative 6y. So the coefficients on the y are the same, except one's positive and one's negative. When that happens, that tells us that we are ripe to do the elimination method, which just means add the two equations together. Just combine the like terms. So 4x plus 3x gives us 7x. 6y minus 6y, of course, is 0, so the y's cancel. And then on the end, we have 32 plus 3, which is 35. By adding the two equations together, we now have an equation that only has one variable in it. Our equation now only has the variable x in it. And so we're one step away from knowing the value of x. We use the division property of equality, and we get x equals 5. So we now know half of our answer. The answer to a system of equations is a coordinate pair. We now know half of that coordinate pair. We know that the x value is 5. How do we find the y value? Well, we take that x and substitute it back into either of these two equations. We can substitute it into the top equation or the bottom equation and solve for y. It doesn't matter which one. So the top equation has a larger number because it's got 32 and the bottom equation only has 3. But the bottom equation does have the negative coefficient on the y, so there's pros and cons to using either one. I'm going to go ahead and use the top one just to avoid the negative. I don't mind dealing with slightly bigger numbers. I'm going to replace the x in that equation with 5 because I know that the value of x in this system is 5. And now I'm just going to solve for y. So 4 times 5, of course, is 20. Okay, and now I'm 2 steps away from the answer. The first step is to use the subtraction property of equality. So subtract 20 on both sides. That's going to give me 6y equals 12. And the last step is to use the division property of equality and divide both sides by 6. And that gives us y equals 2. And y equals 2 is the second half of the coordinate pair that we need. So our x value was 5, y value is 2. So the solution to this system of equations is 5, 2. And that's solving the system of equations using elimination. You just add the two equations together, and that will eliminate one of the two variables, allowing us to solve for one of the variables. And then once we solve for that one, we substitute back into one of the other equations, and that tells us the second variable.